Welcome to a special edition of Kennedale News Video Edition. I have Superintendent Chad Gee here today to discuss the new orders coming down from Judge Glen Whitley and the new changes to this new calendar school year for Kennedale ISD 2020 and 2021. What a big year again.
Yeah, here we go again.
I was listening to some news earlier, and one of the doctors was saying, he was talking about the vaccines coming out and the expectations of them, how to mass produce them. And he was talking about hopefully we'll get back to normal by next April and May. That was his word. So I'm going to hold him to that. And so hopefully the following school year, we can get back to some normality around here.
I'm going to continue to hold my breath, and on this merry-go-round that we're on. So, but I read an article this morning that was they have 2 vaccines that they think are looking hopeful. So hopefully we can get one out. And I think a lot of it depends on how fast they can mass produce something that actually is effective. So we're kind of at that conundrum right now ourselves.
He was predicting like 30% of the population will volunteer for it. And he's going by those numbers by how many people get the flu shot every year voluntarily. So he was predicting like 106 million right off the bat just for America, but the first person to get it to market will obviously need to mass produce, but right after that there's other companies that will be coming with their vaccines with similar results. So it sounded hopeful. It sounded to be a better vaccine than the flu, for the Spanish flu. So we'll see how it goes.
I hope we can get something out pretty quickly, so it'll be good.
All right, so I have you on today because, again, Judge Glen Whitley announced about how schools will move forward in Tarrant County, and which is lining up from what the TEA spoke about last Friday. So let's start with the TEA. They announced something last Friday. This is right after the KISD school board had approved a calendar year, which will be September 28th, correct?
26th.
26th. Wednesday, August. I'm sorry. School still starts Wednesday, August 26th. Go ahead. TEA last Friday.
Yeah, we pushed it back 2 weeks from starting on the 12th into starting on the 26th. So we did that to facilitate a little more time for training our staff. We knew that with all the TA guidelines and the requirements and with the plan that we had the draft plan that we put out, that we were going to have required trainings for our teach staff that were not accounted for in our general back to school planning that we always do. That there was going to, in addition to that planning that we have to do, we were going to have to do additional planning. And we just felt like it was in our best interest of our district and our staff and our students to push things back 2 weeks. So that's where we went with that.
Yay.
Yeah.
No, sorry, that's the parent in me.
Yeah, but we still holding as true to the calendar as we could. Our original idea was to stay with our calendar. A lot of districts are still opening up on actually, I think Mansfield's opening up on the 12th. I know other districts are opening up on the 17th. We just pushed it back so that we can make sure that we can ensure putting in some of those protocols and things that we need to put in, with the requirement from TA that we were going to have 5 days a week of students in the building, and the protocols that we're going to have to follow, the signage that we're going to have to put in, the changing the bathroom procedures, all that. It was going to take a while to get all that implemented and our staff trained on it. We also wanted to make some videos for our stakeholders, for our families, so that they actually knew what to expect when they came back into the building. There are a lot of things, considerations, but we tried to stay as true to it. We are still finishing on the end of May, so we're not pushing into June. That was another consideration of not pushing in there, but we did extend our minutes per day to be able to get the required minutes that we have to have for students in. So
okay, so let's talk about what happened a little bit. I should be sharing my screen right now. Yes, this one. Judge Whitley put out this morning to align with the TEA recommendations that they recommended last Friday, which was to go distance learning until September. And in his order, he talks about prior to September 28, all schools shall reopen schools through virtual, remote, or distance learning only as per each school system's own plan provided by curbside meals from the school campuses while following federal, state, and local guidelines, etc. I think the only other thing we should read is that school personnel are permitted to return to school campuses and facilities to provide virtual, remote, or distance learning instructions and related instructional activities, to provide food distribution, including free and reduced lunches, and to perform administrative duties. That sounds very complicated. And at least 2 weeks, let's see, no. And then there was a clause in here, all school-sponsored events and activities, including and not limited to clubs, sports, bands, choirs, fairs, exhibitions, academic or athletic competitions, or similar student activities may take place remotely or outdoors with social distancing requirements, etc. Those are the ones I wanted to actually just highlight today. Let's talk about the distance learning, since that's the big elephant in the room. So obviously, you guys put out the vote. Are we going to keep our kids home, or are we going to send them to school? That's a bust now, right? We all are keeping them home.
For the first, and well, through the judge's order. Well, actually, you say it's a judge's order. The judge put out an order, emergency order, back in March. I believe the health department has added to that order with this because this is coming from the health department because of the ramping up of the cases that they are seeing. So they put out this order through the judge's office, I believe, is how the wording of it works, because it is a joint, I think, health order, I believe is what it was called.
You're correct.
The municipalities that were involved.
Joint control order.
Joint control order. There you go. So through the judge's office. So, that came out today at 11:35 this morning. So school districts, that kind of changed. You saw the UIL came out with something this morning before that and had a plan, and then now this came out, and that basically trumps that plan from the UIL. So it's a merry-go-round that we're on, and everybody's trying to make just smart, good decisions to try to accommodate the safety of our students and our staffs. And I think that's a big, huge consideration. The health department is very concerned about it, so they put this order out, and we're kind of at the
mercy.
The mercy of that. But at least we got some guidance. I mean, that is one thing. I mean, I have been very, very frustrated. I don't know if you can. I'm tired and I'm frustrated, and we've been waiting for guidance from TEA and waiting, and the guidance that they give us doesn't really cover anything. And that's the two things that they told us: we will have STAR testing, and we will have how to get our ADA for virtual learners. That's really all the guidance that we really, really received from them. So, it's been very frustrating. At least we have some consistency here with this order. All the schools in Tarrant County are under that order, and, that are not parochial schools. I think parochial schools are the ones that are absolved of that, but we are under that order, and we will follow it. So
let's talk about what they threw on your lap. Obviously, you have to provide lunches, so you need to staff that and the logistics behind that. Clubs, organizations, sports is still going to continue, just be different.
Well, that's going to be as you're doing virtual learning, it's going to be very difficult to sit there when you can't have band practice inside. They are, superintendents were on a conference call with a judge on last Friday with some board members and stuff, and we were looking at different considerations. I think a lot of people were very concerned that we've been having the strength and conditioning camps for the well-being of our students. It's important for our students to have activities where they can actually get out and move and do things instead of being cramped up in their houses all the time. So there was some people who were very cautious that they wanted students to be able to sit there and be able to participate. Now, competitions, UIL said they would be able to start competitions practice August 3rd. But with this order, we're not going to be able to sit there and have practices where you're having close contact. As long as you can maintain social distancing, I believe that they can continue to have strength and conditioning and workouts, as long as they're not within that six foot social distancing guidelines. As long as they can maintain that 6 foot social distancing guidelines. So that's really going to kind of restrict how things are operated. I don't know that you can have volleyball practice indoor because it's indoors, it's not outdoors. If they are able to move outside and have some conditioning drills, then they can continue to do that. But as far as having actual practices and having close contact drills, those will not be allowed through the order from what I'm gathering. And of course, we got that order at 11:35. We had some preliminary conversations. That order came at 11:35, and we still have some things that we're going to have to dig through on it and see how that's going to affect us and work. So right now, do I have all the answers to that? No, I do not. So, and we'll continue to work through those as well as we go through the guidance ourselves.
Okay. And then food delivery, I mean, you had some practice this last 6 weeks, 6 months or so.
We have had some experience at that. So we did that all last spring. Very proud of our child nutrition department and our director, Lori Humiston, and her staff and what they did. They were able to accomplish. We served many, many meals to many families, and we will be able to, I believe, continue with that. With this model, we were gonna have to be able to serve our virtual learners anyway. So we were gonna have regular class or cafeteria for the in-person students, and we were gonna have to have curbside pickup, I think, for students who qualified for meals that would be outside. And we were ordering kiosk and all that to make that happen. So I think we're just gonna basically be able to do the same thing. So,
And as far as the virtual environment, did we improve it? Because that was kind of like thrown together real quick, and then we kind of got to a place where it was stable. How has that improved? Or we're doing the same thing, a little bit different?
well, you always hope to improve on it, but it'll be, some things will be similar, but other things will be, hopefully more improved upon. One of those things that we were looking at doing when we came back for our in-service days was our staff was going to be very well trained in Google Classrooms, our Google platform.
And parents now.
Yeah. And that was another intention, was to sit there and also get out some training for our parents from the Google Classrooms, because, they're to help their students at home with the learning. I don't believe, Jeff, any of us went into this with the idea that we were going to be in-person learning all year long next year.
Sure.
I think that was always the plan. We approached it from the whole time that we may be shut down, and when we're shut down, we're going to have to be completely virtual. So what we were trying to do was make it seamless between in-person and virtual, to where if students were going back and forth between the two, say a student's in person and they got sick and they had to go out for a week or so, that they would transition onto the virtual. And then when they came back in the classroom, they'd be right back in, and it would be a seamless transition. That was our intention and our goal the whole way. Our learning will be asynchronous, and everybody, we've been saying asynchronous, but I don't think a lot of people are understanding what asynchronous is. There's synchronous learning and there's asynchronous learning. Synchronous means that what we're doing right now, we're on live, and if I'm the teacher and you're the student, we are having one-on-one lessons, or we have a classroom full of lessons, or students in the classroom participating at the same time, live. That is not the model that we're approaching. We're approaching asynchronous because, one, TA requires that pre-K through third grade, you cannot do synchronous learning. It has to be asynchronous. And to get funding, that is a big part of our funding mechanism, is our attendance, and asynchronous learning is the platform that we're using. Now, within that asynchronous model, we will have some synchronous models built into that. Some of our teachers will be on with students doing check-ins at certain periods of time of the day. Other students will have recorded lessons. So it's going to be a mixture of the two. So I think that where, we may have a little bit different than we were last spring, when we were just, trying to survive and get through it. In the aspect of, will it be on live with the teacher 24/7? No, it will not. So I want to make sure that people understand that it will not be a synchronous model where the kids going through their entire schedule all day long with their teachers. That is not the platform that we will be using.
So what about the families that might not have internet? Or I knew of a family that had issues getting even a computer in time.
Well, we really worked really hard last year to make sure that our students that needed computers and needed technology got them. And, unfortunately, how are you getting that information out? We're getting it out through the internet. We're doing calls. And
you guys made the effort. I know that one family got a note on the door. So I know that your staff even made a further effort on it.
Yes, we had teachers calling and making contact and surveying students to sit there and see what their needs were. I believe we went above and beyond in our efforts to sit there and try to make sure that our families had the connectivity that they needed. We purposely left our computers with our students over the summer with the mindset that this could possibly happen. And here we sit, and now that looks like a very good, decision on our part. Some of our families may still not have computers, and there may be families that need them. We will be that 2 weeks that we have when our staff comes back, we will be working to get with families to make sure that they have Chromebooks. We have a plan in place to go one-to-one from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. So that has been a change that we were putting in place for this next year in anticipation of this. So all of our students will have access to a computer. And then as far as connectivity, we are looking at purchasing hotspots. Those hotspots will be on a need basis. And so we're partnering with the city with that to help purchase some of those hotspots for our most needy families.
Well, it sounds like you guys pre-planned, thought ahead. That's just good planning right there, I think, Chad.
Well, we catch criticism no matter what we do sometimes. So, we're well.
Try owning a newspaper.
Aware of that. I mean, criticism will come no matter what. If we do this, then we should have done that. If we do this, then we should have done that. And if we call it white, somebody can say it's black. If we say it's blue, it's the sky. We're going to have our naysayers on everything. Unfortunately, we try to sit there and plan. We have very good people in place that have been working nonstop. Brian Franklin, our technology director, Dr. Vu and her staff. The hours that they put in, Brian Franklin's staff that they've been putting in already. I believe we have pretty decent plans in place to sit there and try to facilitate the technology needs of our students. So.
All right. So one final question. I'll let you go because I know you're a busy guy. If the state or the county doesn't tie our hands, the plan is still to go back in September.
We're going to start school the 26th of August, so it will just be virtually. But in-person learning, one thing that with the order that came out through the county judge and the health department was that if things change, that order could be rescinded, sooner than that date.
The numbers have been looking good lately.
But what they wanted, I think, to make sure of in the talks that we had with them was that they basically, after every holiday, there's a period of time after the holidays where cases ramp up. And, whenever we went to stage 3 or phase 3 of opening up in June, you saw the cases ramp up. And then we had the 4th of July. And right after that, about 3 weeks later, we saw more cases ramp up. And then the next big holiday is Labor Day. And what they're predicting is the cases will ramp up again. So if all of that doesn't come to fruition, then we should be in a shape to basically maybe possibly open sooner, we're hoping. But we'll have to hold our breath and see how things pan out.
As of today, there are 46 total cases in Kennedale, 22 recoveries, and 1 death. Just to put that information that was sent to me this morning. All right, Chad, any final thoughts? And I'll let you get back to work.
No, I just, I know it's frustrating for our parents. It's frustrating for our teachers and our staff. It's frustrating for our administrators. We're well aware of the frustration levels. We've been very, very frustrated with our lack of guidance that we've been given and what we've been having to do on our own. I just would like to, remind everybody that we're all in this together, and we're not really doing this intentionally to hurt anyone. We're trying to do what we can that's best for our students and our staff safety, and to make sure that we got a good plan in place and that we're all working together. So just stay with us and work with us, and we'll get through it.
Roll with the punches, right?
Sometimes you got to roll with the punches. Yeah.
All right. I want to thank you for coming on again, as always, Chad, and thank everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next video edition.